think is a silly way to use it, the way people use it. But when you spend time with people like, Daryl Sutherland, right? Yeah, Daryl Sutherland, he's a good friend.
Great.
And Howard, who have been deep into AI for decades, yes, decades, realize like there's been people, you see ChatGPT, like, whoa, this is revolutionary, gonna do a lot of innovative stuff. And it's helpful, I think, to realize, one, what AI is, two, what the future may look like, and three, there's people like Howard. How long have you been dicking around with AI?
I have been the CEO of an AI company for 32 years.
32 years. And I only say that so when your favorite internet marketer says they're now an AI expert, just understand that there's how many PhDs do you have on staff right now?
We have, close to 20 kind of PhD quant rocket scientist types at our company. We're certainly neurodiverse friendly.
Yeah. So just remember, again, I know last week they were experts in Facebook ads and now they're AI experts. Just know there's Howards out there that have 20 PhDs, have spent, I know the number, but I won't share, many tens of millions of dollars on testing and refining and thinking about AI and having sounding boards that are brilliant humans. Come on, silent. For 3 decades. So yeah. I encourage you to pay attention, prepare your questions. I'm just going to kick it off to Howard Getson here.
Great. So I've tried to read the room a little bit, and I've called an audible. And so, he doesn't like to prepare specifically ahead of time, but I do. So what I've done is I've broken this into 2 pieces, and I'm going to give you a preview of the first piece just so you know why you should listen, because I know you guys like money. So I will tell you that most people think of me as a hedge fund manager, but I do not self-identify as a hedge fund manager. I identify as the CEO of an AI company, and it turns out that we were using AI to create this hedge fund platform. I ought to tell you, I sold my first company, double-digit millions. I had a lot of money. I thought I was going to retire. I started a trade. I loved it. It was the internet boom. A couple big wins, covered a lot of sins. But I started to realize that wouldn't it be cool if I could eliminate the fear, the greed, the discretionary mistakes that kind of had me making and losing too much money. In fact, one year we made 368% return on a certain type of algorithm, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a billionaire, only to have that same kind of volatility crush me on the other side. I know you guys don't know about that, but it's not what happens, it's what you do. And we learned a lot. So I'm just going to show you. This is a product we created, and this is the S&P, and this is the product. And it says simulated cumulative return. And the reason is that we have a fund. This is not the fund. This is because it doesn't have the fees. But this is the live performance of this model since it's been created. So it really is the fund. But the interesting thing is it's never lost more than 9% from a biggest peak to the smallest drawdown, and it continues to work. And the reason that's important is that AI uses a fitness function, okay? And a fitness function says, what are you optimizing on? And what I'm about to tell you is, this is as technical as it's going to get. I'm about to switch to another presentation that's going to help you think about AI at a much higher level and a much more empowering level. But I wanted you to understand that, like, we used AI to do everything here. There is no human involved in what we do. 100% of the what markets do we trade? Which technique are we using? How much risk should we take? How much of the portfolio should we allocate to this or that? All of those things are done without human intervention. But it didn't start like that. It started by figuring out what can we do. And I want you to understand that the point of this presentation is there is an incredible opportunity in front of you, and not just with me, with AI and blockchain, where I believe those are two of the fastest growing spaces for the next 25 years. And I think that how you make money is going to be widely varied, but the mindsets that you use to make money are very consistent, and I'm going to try to help you look at those a little bit. So here is a presentation on the future of AI, but really you should add the word crypto in here for yourself because it's all right. Oh my gosh, this I really don't want the subtitles, but I don't know what. Anyway, so if you want the slides, you can scan this. We will send it to you. I will tell you that I also have a weekly list of articles that I send out. There's no marketing. We really suck at like monetizing what we do in terms of, because we're focused on the solution. And so in my company, I actually don't have any salespeople, but we do have 20 plus kind of PhD quant rocket scientists. And the interesting thing is they're so smart that I feel like a Labrador retriever. And yet, I want you to understand that what you're about to get from me is, I actually believe, wisdom. And by that I mean pain and suffering for many years helped me figure out what a lot of that meant and what to focus on to make it work. And I really believe that what you're about to see here will help you with each of your own projects. So, current state of AI, leveraging AI, thinking about AI, mastering certain mindsets, getting started, and then how to implement new capabilities. I am going to go wicked fast. To me, this is super simple and non-technical, but I've gotten great feedback from people like you before, so feel free to ask questions or interrupt, but I am going to start to go really fast. The goal is to have you see that AI is a tool you can use regardless of what your business is. Right now, I think there's a giant problem where everybody thinks AI is ChatGPT, but it's actually a huge opportunity. It's kind of like if the only thing that crypto was is Dogecoin, right? Like if that's the only thing you thought it was, it would be like, well, you're missing the point. The second thing is to have you think about what you want to accomplish in your business and how AI is going to help you get there. Not how to use ChatGPT, but how are you actually going to use the things you think about to make your business better. The next is, I want you to make a commitment to get started so that you're making incremental gains in your understanding and use of these tools. Okay? I actually believe that general AI, like the general intelligence AI, is absolutely inevitable. But I think it's silly for us to think about. What I want is a special purpose AI that's going to help me do the thing that makes us money. And so for each of you, I want you to start to think about how you can use AI not to take the place of the thing that's magic about you, but that's going to enhance and multiply the stuff that lets you be magic, right? So I could give you a big bio on me, but I have an MBA and JD by the time I was 23. I was a corporate securities lawyer, but I realized quickly that I envied my clients and I hated my partners. But it makes total sense because my clients were entrepreneurs and my partners were lawyers. Did you ever deal with a group of people and every time you were with them it sucked your energy, and then you were with another group and it gave you energy? I actually believe energy is one of the most important things to measure. And I'm going to tell you about AI right now. You can tell it's important because you just look at the energy. By the way, look at the energy crypto had. Okay? Crypto had great energy. Everybody was talking. So the fact that a lot of people got punched in the face and went away doesn't mean that energy went away. There's a ton of dry powder, there's a ton of opportunity, and the smartest people I know still are big bettors on crypto. I just had a private conversation with Peter Diamandis. He's incredibly bullish about crypto. I had a private conversation with a friend of ours, John Raymonds, incredibly bullish on crypto. He actually believes there's a world war going on where governments want to kill crypto, but the people aren't going to let it happen. I think stuff like that is silly to think about because I can't control it. I want to think about the stuff that I can control and the stuff that gives me energy and the stuff that is going to make money. And so I think all of that shows me that there's tons of latent energy. And you're going to see that as a consistent theme through here. We're looking for pockets of hidden energy because that's where you're going to find profits. So the current state of AI is going to be as important an invention as the discovery of fire, electricity, the computer, or the internet. I truly believe that. I believe this is going to change how you live, how long you live, what you do, and how much prosperity you have while you're on this earth. And ChatGPT is incredibly exciting, but what's really exciting is how fast it got popular. Okay, if you talk to the AI scientists, they don't think that the actual technology is impressive because it's been around for a while. What's impressive is it captured the collective spirit of the population, and look how quickly it got to 1 million users. Look how quickly it got to 100 million users. Look how quickly billions of people have used it. And the cool thing is not the technology, it's the fact that you now have billions of people thinking about how they're going to use this to make their business. And so and the mutations and the catalyst to new thought, new opportunity, and new people willing to take chances is massive. Okay, some 4 areas that I think are going to be like this: AI, longevity medicine, right? Age reversal, blockchain, and the ability to, it's part of longevity, but the ability to print organs, the ability to create parts of you so that this meat suit that decays can be replaced. And AI is going to have a part of all of that. All right, so let's keep going. Don't get hung up on the tool. How many of you have a box in your attic with an old phone, you know, the first Palm Pilot, I have like a technology graveyard. Well, think about when the internet got popular. AOL, MySpace, Netscape, Yahoo, right? It doesn't matter that any of those companies failed. The internet is bigger than ever. Crypto is going to be bigger than ever. The fact that the first thing they thought to do with it didn't become a forever thing doesn't mean that this isn't going to be forever for the rest of your life. It is. It's becoming increasingly important, and I've got a whole lot of reasons why. But AI is not important by itself. AI is a tool. right? And so I use lots of tools in my business. By the way, those are really good tools. When you download the deck, you can look at what they are. Some of them are really AI, some are just automation or innovation, but these are tools that eliminate bother, frustration, friction. And a friend of ours, Dan Sullivan, has a concept called unique ability. All right, unique ability is the center of a bullseye where you have superior skill, but it gives you energy. Again, energy is hugely important. One step outside that is excellence. It's where you have superior skill, but it doesn't give you energy. Outside that is competence. Outside that is incompetence. Interestingly, incompetence is not stressful, because if you know you don't know something, you don't care that you don't know it. Competence is really stressful, because you can't understand how somebody dumber or younger or less skilled than you was able to get a better result. A lot of people who got their ass kicked trading feel incredible stress because they know how hard they worked and they don't understand why they didn't get rewarded. But you have been rewarded, and you learned a lot of stuff. Excellence is actually the biggest problem in a company or in a business. And it's because if you're doing something because you're good at it, but it takes your energy, you're stealing from your future. And really, you're stealing from the thing that you have a superior skill that gave you energy, which is going to give you the ability to think about it in the shower, the ability to talk about it late at night, the ability to innovate. And you never know, but one idea can be the thing that takes you to next. And so I really believe that tools like this are important, because anything that is friction or anything that is bother is not unique ability. So the stuff that makes you scared may be great to learn, but it's a great place to automate, delegate, or outsource. And it used to be you looked for somebody to do that stuff, but now you can actually build technology to do that stuff. So let's talk about AI. And you could substitute the word crypto, but I'm going to talk about AI. You're early. I don't care that you've heard that your friend knows 17 tools that you don't, and they generated all of their marketing material and blah, 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 blah. It's about incremental progress towards the inevitable, and this is inevitable, and it's going to be inevitable for the next 25 years. Okay? In my own business, almost everything I do embarrasses me 18 months later, because I can't believe that I thought that was so cool compared to what's coming. But in your case, blockchain is about to mature. Smart contracts are about to mature. AI is about to mature. The industry's willingness to accept them is about to mature. And there is massive, massive opportunity. So don't have fear of missing out. Focus on what you want and how technology is going to help you get it. You have time. This is the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, is they feel stressed. And in a sense, they're creating fear for no reason. If you put in the work, it's why this Guardian Academy is so impressive to me. It's rewarding people who spend the time and make incremental progress. And in a sense, you probably overestimate what you can achieve in 6 months or a year, but you probably dramatically underestimate what's possible in a longer period of time. And so I think you're on the right path. I think you've got a great focus. A lot of people are saying to me, what's the best way to invest in AI? And I think they think I'm going to say, oh, OpenAI just released an offering. I don't know if you saw it, but they just got valued at almost $30 billion. And if you think about it, they're only now just commercializing. By the way, Grammarly, Grammarly, so privately, VCs have been so upset with Grammarly because they've never done more than 10 million a year, and they had a shitty valuation. They just announced something called Grammarly Go, which is going to be kind of these large language models tied to their old Grammarly engine. And they just got a valuation of over $4 billion like that, because they said the right thing at the right time. You guys are going to be able to take advantage of being in the right place at the right time, because as long as you're moving in the right direction and you don't give up, you're inevitably going to hit your mark. So AI is just a tool. Oh, sorry. The answer to the question, what's the best way to invest in AI, is not to focus on the tool or some other company. The best way to focus on crypto and AI is to focus on what you want to create and how to continue to make progress, because as long as you do, you'll ultimately get it. I will tell you that it's being long-term greedy, not short-term greedy. Does that make sense? So AI is simply a tool. And as a technology entrepreneur, I have been bitten by this bug again and again and again, where I focus on a tool, I fall in love with the technology, and I want to tell everybody about the cool thing that I invented, or look what we do, and nobody cares. In a Charlie Brown movie, it's like when the adults talk and they go, wah, 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 right? Smart marketing says you have to talk to people about what they get. Right? In marketing, they call it a user-directed benefit. So for me, AI, artificial intelligence, is a tool. It's going to change, it's going to evolve, but in a sense, it doesn't matter. What people want is amplified intelligence. They want the ability to make better decisions, take smarter actions, and continuously improve performance. So they don't want to hear about the technology that you're using. They want to hear about the benefit that they're going to get. And frankly, you do too, because that's what's going to let you sleep better at night, is knowing that you're actually providing value, building value, storing value, and increasing your opportunity to win. So the first thing I would say is automate the right things. The problem with AI is because it can do so much, people often look for something easy to do. But activity is not progress. So a lot of times people want to automate the thing that hurt them last time. But I'm actually going to teach you a methodology of beginning with the end in mind and thinking about what you really want and saying, so if this is what I want 3 years from now, and this is kind of what the midway point looks like, what could I work on this year, and then which capability should I start to bring into existence so that I'm moving in the right direction towards what I want, rather than how do I have a quick win that makes me feel good but didn't actually accomplish anything. I call that mental masturbation. Good every once in a while, but actually productive output is a much better use of time. All right, so it's really easy to get started. The biggest mistake is that most people think they're going to simply use off-the-shelf tools and it's going to be good enough. It's good enough to get started. It's good enough to get a sense of what's possible, but really, you don't want to try to match technology to a problem. You want to make progress towards what you really want. And so a lot of times you get this tool and you're going, what can I use it for? Right? You ever hear the thing that says if the only thing you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail? So the problem with a lot of these tools is you're saying, how can I use it as well as he did? Oh my God, I heard what they just did and I have to feel like I can do it. But really, the people in this room have shown that you're interested in the future. You're interested in commerce. You're interested in building value. So start to think about where your idea is strategic and unique and how to start to build the things that create the value. So for us, it started with trading systems. And in the beginning, I was simply looking for a way to manage my own money. I kind of set up a family office and I started making money in the .com era. And I thought I was a genius, but even a blind pig finds a truffle in the forest during a bull market. And then all of a sudden they realize they're not as smart as they were when the bear market comes. And so it's a whole different presentation, but there's stages of what we did. But I made a list of some of the stuff that we built just so that it would be easy for you to get a sense. In my space, alpha is the excess return created because of superior skill, not luck. Okay, that's alpha is the excess return by manager skill. Beta is actually the portion of the return related to risk, or taking a bigger position size, whatever. So alpha generation for us are creating models that are skillful at something. But alpha by avoidance is where I make money by knowing what not to do. And so a whole lot of what we do is generate tons of different alpha models, and then we figure out how to turn off certain things that would distract me because it's the wrong environment for that thing. Another thing that we figured out is risk management, volatility control, a testing platform, a simulation engine, a data generator, pattern mining, compliance tools. And then as you start to have so much technology, I almost needed a closed captioning tool that would let me know which of my algorithms did what so that I could figure out how these things work together in a system. But where's it going to start for you? And it can start with something really simple, but the journey starts with one step, and that first step is really important because it begins your journey, right? So as a CEO, you have to say, here's where I am, here's where I want to get to, how am I going to get there? And if you just take a step, that's actually okay when you're trying to figure out, do I like something? But when you're thinking that this might actually result in generational wealth, or this might be important to my future, then it's really important to do kind of the back work to think about, where does this fit in your future, or where do you fit in that future? And the way I look at it is, it's pretty easy for me to figure out the natural path, but the natural path is both place and time. And so if I want to end up here at this point in time, I don't try to build this now. I think about, what do I start to build now so that I have the right thing in place then? It's almost like if you're throwing a pass to somebody, you don't throw it to where they were, you throw it to where they're going, otherwise they can't catch it. And so this is actually a strategic planning tool to think about what's going to happen in the world and what do I want to add so that people say thank you. All right, so how to think about AI? Great quote from the Four Seasons. Systemize the predictable so you can humanize the exceptional. Isn't one of the big reasons you're in this group because of people? It's not just the technology. This is actually really important in life, okay? The other thing to remember is AI is cool, but artificial stupidity is scary. So this is Jason Corman from Gaping Void, and I had him make a bunch of different pictures. He would claim they're not pictures. Pretty clever how I did that. So that was an important law. It's called gravity. All right, so AI is cool, artificial stupidity is scary, but the converse of that is the heartbeat of AI is still human, and it's because of the first. So you don't want to automate something that's going to lose money at light speed. You actually need people to say, am I getting what I really wanted? So let's talk about unique ability and automation. Don't automate the thing that you're best at. Automate the stuff that would let you spend more time being great at the stuff you're great at. This is actually such a cool thing to understand because it's also way harder to automate the thing that you're magic at. But it's actually easy to eliminate the frustration or bother that kept you from being magic. The other thing is, don't let the perfect get in the way of good. You have to measure your progress towards the goal rather than your gap of how far you are away from it. Make sense? This is another strategic coach concept. Dan says, people in rooms like this don't need help setting goals. They need help feeling happy and filling their cup so that they have the energy to continue towards the goal till they reach the inevitable. And so that's part of the reason a group like this is so important. It's the community that gives you feedback and somebody who appreciates the progress you're making. this is actually a really important rule, and it's Jeff Bezos is famous for saying, everybody asks me what's new, but the better question is what's going to stay the same. And in a sense, in his mind, Amazon is still the same business as when he started. Now, Amazon Cloud and the way they do dynamic pricing and who owns the inventory, everything changed. But in his mind, he wanted to create a destination that let normal people go to find what they want with the belief that they're going to get a reasonable price and fast delivery. And what it does is it creates a compulsion to commerce. That was the thing that won't change. If you can figure out the thing that doesn't change, and you think, hey, that would have been true even if I had it 5 years ago, I think it's going to be even more true 10 years from now. That's the kind of stuff you want to build towards, right? There's timely, and that's related to now, and it's very opportunistic, okay? Then there's about what's possible, and then there's the stuff that's truly timeless that's just going to be true. And you want to build timeless value. The goal is find something simple enough that you can rely on it. And then even if you only do that simple thing, you can make a ton of money. One of my first investors was the guy who invented that little piece of plastic that goes around the end of a shoelace. And he made over $500 million. And I was like, you got to be kidding. I mean, and his whole business used to be, widely varied, and he realized that if he just specialized on that one thing, everybody wanted it. One of my other investors is the guy who invented that metal foil that goes on top of like Tylenol bottles to show that it wasn't tampered with. And again, like $1 billion from that one idea. If you get it right, everybody wants it. You're seeing it right now with OpenAI. They happen to be at the right place at the right time, but everybody wants it. So what am I really telling you? You already know the answer. Humans are terrific at recognizing the big change on the horizon, but rarely anticipate the consequences. Think about Kodak and Blockbuster. They both were so early. Netflix is making a ton of money. Apple has made more money selling cameras than Kodak ever did, right? I mean, it's crazy to think that people who had position and brand recognition and relevance found a way to mess it up. But it's because they didn't recognize the changes that were coming. But you can. And I'm telling you that blockchain, smart contracts, inevitable. AI, inevitable. And the question is, where do you think the wave is going? So how to get started? You begin with the end in mind. You think about what do you want 3 to 5 years from now? What milestones do you think you're going to have to reach? What constraints are you going to face? And what capabilities are you going to need? Joe and I have a friend, Alan Bernard. And Alan Bernard focuses on something called constraint theory. And this is a really cool concept. It basically says in a manufacturing process, you don't need lots of math to figure out how many things you can produce. It's limited to the smallest constraint. If you identify what the constraint is, all of your resources should go towards busting that constraint, and you move to a whole new level of possibility. So think about some of the things that you tried to do and what the constraint was, or what the thing that ruined it all. And if you can give somebody hope that you can help them save time, save effort, or give them a greater chance of certainty that they're going to get past that constraint, then they will give you money. Right? It's aspirational. People will spend a lot of money to achieve their aspirations. So there's training, there's tools, there's a lot of stuff. But we've come up with 11 key tech adoption drivers that kind of help you figure out where some of the constraints are. When you download the slides, you'll get it. I don't have time to go over them now, but they're really simple. one of the things is you can't let the past get in the way of the future. So much of the industry's wealth advisory, compliance and regulation was based on the old way of doing securities. And so many Wall Street firms have set up where they have a compliance department, a trading desk, blah, blah, blah. And each group of people need to wet their beak and get paid. And so if something comes along like a smart contract that can disintermediate a lot of those groups, then a lot of the people in the company are saying, I don't want to do that because how am I going to get paid? People are afraid that they're going to be the foremost expert in the world at something that's no longer relevant. And so they try to prevent that because they don't want to be irrelevant. By the way, in my company, two of my big investors, one was the president of American Express, and the other was the chief technology officer of JP Morgan. I have somebody on the board of the Chicago Option Exchange. And I call these people ex-masters of the universe, because they really were masters of the universe, but they realized that the universe is changing and they want to make money in the new world. So it's like old world and new world, and they realize that both are good. And frankly, part of what I'm here to tell you is a lot of the common sense and learning that you had in the old world of crypto is actually going to help you in the new world as well. So you have a chance to play a new game. Name that game. Understand the desired outcome, define the rules, decide how you keep score, figure out what's evidence of success, and figure out when to stop playing, right?
That last part.
Yeah, but by the way, not playing doesn't mean you have to decide not to play forever. Cash is an option, and we do something based on that, based on my learnings from before. By the way, I don't want to, I've spent over $40 million building our platform. And boy, I could tell you horror stories. You remember the crash in 2008? I lost $2 million before my first cup of coffee. The rest of the day didn't go much better. I ended up having a personal trainer session at the end of that day with my wife, and so the trainer's name was Delano, and Delano looks at me and says, dude, you look like shit. I still hadn't told my wife how bad the day was. And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, this was one of the worst days ever in the market, and some people even committed suicide. And that was true. But as I said it, I realized it was also a lie. And the reason it's a lie is trading is a zero-sum game. And that means somebody made money and somebody lost money. Now, most people, the number of people who lost money was probably most people lost a shit ton of money that day. But some people made generational wealth. And so it wasn't a bad day in trading. It was a bad day in trading for me because I was using the wrong tools, the wrong techniques. And so I literally went to Sean Valley, who still works for me. He started working there in 2006. He's the head of our trading compliance. And I said, Sean, we have so many systems. Are you telling me we didn't have anything that would have made money? And later that week, he comes up and says, you remember when you asked me that question? I said, you mean the one about don't we have systems that would have made money? And the answer is, we have lots of them. And I was like, well, if we're so smart, how do we get so fucking poor? And the answer was, his answer was, because you wouldn't let me use those systems. And I was like, I wouldn't let you use those systems. Like, I was offended. But it turns out that me, the human, created a rule that I thought made sense, that even today sounds like it made sense. I'll tell you the rule. I bet it makes sense. We developed this automated testing system we called the natural selection process. See, I tried to understand marketing even back then. But what we did is we automatically would give each new system a snippet of data, and we would force it to say, here's where I would trade, how much money do I make and lose. Gets green tickies if it wins, it gets red tickies if it loses. Too many red tickies, a trapdoor opens. But we added something else. It says, if it ever loses more than 20%, disqualify the technique, because I can't promise it won't see that again. Makes sense, right? That was the rule. That rule screwed me, and not in the good way. And it turns out my biggest epiphany on that day after was, wouldn't it be cool if I could look at every trading pit in the world and try to figure out which ones are vomiting and which ones are high-fiving. And so instead of predicting markets, if we could know what's working, that's the difference between guessing and knowing's more profitable. And this is actually where AI can be incredibly helpful, not in predicting what's going to happen, but in being able to process all the things that are happening to identify what's filling your cup or draining your cup. But that let us decide to play a new game, and it's actually why I'm still standing here. But the point is because of AI, you're playing a different game. And so the old rules don't apply. You get to apply the new rules. But you really have to ask yourself, what constitutes an edge? Realize that if somebody else can say the exact same thing, it's not really an edge. So if I say, oh, I have hundreds of systems, lots of people can say they have hundreds of systems. If I say, oh, I use AI, lots of people can say they use AI. That's not really an edge. How are you going to be unique? What's going to make it hard to replicate so if somebody wants it, they come to you? Well, I'm now going to answer in terms of AI. A lot of it has to do with what data do you need to create that edge. Data is probably 60 to 70% of the difference, right? Garbage in, garbage out, nothing in, nothing out. But to do the impossible, you have to make the invisible visible. And so part of what you can offer somebody is visibility into something that they didn't used to see, and that might be opportunity or risk. The next thing is you got to figure out how to extend the edge, and that means you can do things that make linear progress or exponential progress. And you're going to get what you look for. So if the goal is simply, I want to make linear progress, I want to get better, you will. But at a certain point, when you know it's the right area, you have to commit to exponential progress, and it might be that you partner with other people to get things that are the multipliers. That's where AI comes in. But if I'm managing an AI project, I want to stack easy wins. So I want to begin with the end in mind. Again, here's where I am, here's where I want to get to, here are some steps along the way, and then I use that Alan Bernard quote that says, and I couldn't get there unless. And the unless helps me figure out where the constraints or milestones are. And so we start to build capabilities along that path so that people can declare victory and feel better. All right. So I'm now going to give you this model in a really simple form. I think it's a very cool model. I'm writing a book about it called Compounding Insights, Turning Thoughts into Things in the Age of AI. But it's based on a concept I have that says technology is hard to predict because there's so many things that are possible. And so the better thing to predict is human nature, because human nature has stayed the same for generations, millennia, okay? So people rarely try to accomplish what they don't believe is possible. OpenAI now makes people think a lot more things is possible. The fact that there were crypto billionaires made people believe it's possible. The fact that there was a crypto crash made people believe that's possible too. But there's a whole bunch of people who believe that's the future, and they're trying to figure out what's the new world of this that's going to eliminate some of the past constraints to make the promise more likely than the peril. So it starts with a capability. I look at a capability a lot like a Lego, okay? There's an infinite number of things I could build. But in my brain, I realize that anytime I show somebody a new capability, in their head they're saying, does it help me do what I already do just better? And if not, they say, so what, who cares? So when you first introduce something, you have to meet your audience where they are, and the first thing you have to promise is something that is related to what they're already doing. Okay? Now, if I give you that capability and you simply say thanks, that's okay. But if I give you that capability and instead you're like, can it do this? What about that? Could I do it in this market? Oh, you're doing that weekly. Couldn't I do it daily? That's the hidden energy that says there's money, right? Where energy and focus flows, money goes. So a capability by itself is cool, but really you want somebody to start to say, how do I stack that capability and add? And that's called a prototype. And a prototype lets you and people you know achieve a result you know. But when it starts to organize into a product, that's when people you don't know can achieve the thing that you did know. And each one of these is actually more than a 10x multiplier. So if I can start to think about, hey, 18 months from now, we will not be in crypto winter. We'll be in crypto spring again, okay? What are people likely going to want? What kind of products are likely going to make the next generation of crypto billionaires billionaires? I have a couple ideas myself as to what that would be. Higher stable returns, better simulation testing platforms, bringing tools from a more mature market into the less mature market, things that are going to be important for regulatory compliance. I mean, but there's a pretty clear path to start thinking about these things. But then you take the concept of a product and you create a platform. And a platform is when you take that same base capability and it's matured to the point where now people you don't know are using it for things you didn't originally intend it for, right? Think about Ethereum. This is actually even more than a 10x. It's probably a 100x multiplier, because now you only have to get lucky. You don't know what somebody's doing with it, but somebody's going to have a giant success with it. And you've got diversity in terms of industry, you've got diversity in terms of when they make and lose money, and you're very likely to be very happy for a very long time. So probably hard to read this, but I'm actually just going to read it so it's on the transcript. A capability is a fundamental building block of skill or ability that can stand alone or become the foundation of something much bigger. A prototype is the preliminary model developed by stacking or bundling different capabilities to create more opportunities, enhance the ability to perform a task or achieve a goal. A product is a mature collection of capabilities packaged together to help somebody achieve a specific known result. It's designed to meet the needs of a particular audience and to be robust, reliable, and resilient, right? But a platform is a system or infrastructure offering a variety of capabilities that can be used by unknown individuals to achieve outcomes that the platform creator didn't initially anticipate. So the key is to spend a little bit of time thinking about 3 to 5 years from now, what kind of platforms will exist that dramatically change your industry? Then, if that's true, what are 2 or 3 different product ideas that you think the technology's already been invented, but they just haven't matured enough to do what you think they're going to do? Then, in the next 18 months, what are some prototypes we could build that would generate money and fund our way along that path? And then out of that, what are 3 to 5 capability projects that we ought to start working on that let us feel good about our progress that we know is ultimately leading to the new world? Make sense? So there's a form. Obviously, you're going to get it with the slides. So now let's go to the last section of this. And it's when people think about AI, they think about HAL 9000 from 2000: A Space Odyssey, or the Terminator, or Jarvis from Iron Man. But really, I think of it as hiring an employee. Dan Sullivan has another great concept called who, not how. Okay? In the old days, you used to try to figure out how to do something. Now that collaboration's so easy, you try to figure out who is the best at the world at this thing. But now I think this is going to change, and technology can be the who. But as you start to think of the technology as the who, realize that if I were hiring a person, I would use a personality assessment. Do I want them to be a generalist or a specialist? Do I want them to observe or interact? Do I want them to be risk averse or opportunity seeking? Right? You can build that stuff into the technology. This is the first robot, but realize technology follows a maturity model that's based on humans, not technology. And so I'm going to tell you what that is, just so you understand as you start your projects. The first is, if I hired a person, even if I hired a person who ultimately I want to make decisions, the first thing I want to know is what data do they look at? And do they know it's complete? Can they clean and enhance it? Oh, I didn't have enough, I need more. Then I want them to know that they can organize and structure it, and I might say something like, oh, what if this were important, or what if that were important? But if they can't make sense of it, how could I possibly trust them to make a decision? So as you start to have AI look at data, you want to know that AI is helping you make sense of things in a way that you feel good, that gives you energy and leads to better decisions. The next step is, how do they rank or evaluate the choices? In a recommendation model, I don't care if it makes recommendations that I don't want to use. I want recommendations that I'm like, oh, that was cool, thank you. Right? It's the difference between Netflix being billions and billions of dollars versus, it's really because they keep suggesting other stuff that you might want to watch. I know when my wife is choosing Korean dramas, and by the way, we watch Korean dramas in Korean, and neither of us speak Korean, but it's because they're well made, and part of my brain is focused on the drama, the other part of my brain is reading the closed caption, and so I don't have to drink or vape or something else. It allows me to shut my head. But I'm looking at the Netflix 97% match, and if it's like less than 80, I'm like, we don't want to watch that, because I don't know, but I've just learned to trust it. But ranking and evaluating is huge. Then I want it to make recommendations, and I want to see if I like it, right? I don't want an automated trading system until I've seen it make recommendations. I'm like, oh, that was a good one. Oh, that was a good one. Ooh, that one didn't work. I wonder why. But at a certain point, once they prove they can do that, then I want them to choose the answer. And only after I've seen them choose the answer and deal with the reality of what happens do I want to give them autonomy, right? So realize that your projects are going to go through this same step. And at first it's going to support the human. Then it's going to augment the human. And only after that can you automate. All right, last step before we finish this. I love this 4-season model. Winter, spring, summer, fall. It applies to your life. It applies to industry. It applies to products. But you remember when Akshay was talking about fear, one of the things he tried to say, even though he didn't say it, is disassociate from the fear and realize the fear is not you. And if you can do that, you can choose how to use it. Well, as someone who is inventing something, if your industry is in winter, you can offer them a different tool, right? If I owned a store at a beach, in the winter, I'm going to sell sweatshirts and hot chocolate. But in the summer, I'm going to sell flip-flops and suntan lotion. And so just because something is happening in your industry doesn't mean you can't profit from it. You just have to realize that you're standing on a pedestal above it, and you understand that after winter comes spring, and after spring comes summer, and after summer comes the harvest. So this is part of that platform planning, is understanding how long it's going to take for you to have solutions, but ultimately to have solutions for different people in different industries at different stages of this cycle. But just because it's springtime for AI doesn't mean it's springtime for AI for you, unless you understand the law of the farm that says you have to plant the corn and water it before you pick it. And so even if all you're doing is a little bit of research and a little bit of thinking, it's time to plant your seeds. It's time to think about what you're going to need so that you have the most abundant harvest in a place that's really relevant to you. So think about the gold rush in 1849, right? Go west, young man. This is where the miners were panning for gold. Tons of people went west because they wanted to mine. They wanted to get rich speculating. But Levi Strauss made money selling blue jeans to the miners. Other people made money selling beer and brothels. Wells Fargo is still in business today, and they had the delivery service that took the gold to the bank safely so that somebody didn't steal it. And they're still in business today. So really, your vision for the future is your treasure map. But it's not worth anything unless you start to do the right stuff. And that's, again, why I love this group, because you're thinking about the treasure map and what the right stuff to do is. So I really think that you're positioned great. So taking action, AI is not an easy button. Everybody right now thinks AI is free. AI is not free. I have spent 32 years of my life, over $40 million, and 2.5 wives getting to here. I'm trying really hard not to burn the second half of number 3. They're getting increasingly expensive.
Does she know this?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But AI can be a conductor of an orchestra. In a sense, AI can turn on and off a lot of different things that you've created. And that's actually how I look at what we do, is we build capability. I think of my business as a digital manufacturing plant where I'm creating capabilities that I use to enhance your unique ability. And in a sense, that gives me the ability to collaborate or partner where I'm going to get faster, you're going to get farther faster, and we both make money, because in a sense, we're good at something that most people aren't good at. But I'm not good at the stuff you're good at, and that's what's so cool about this, is AI is going to allow us to, I call it a forever project, where I'm committing to something, and I start with a capability, and we figure out how to monetize it. But then we start to add new and better capabilities to continue to take us along the path. And that's really how I think you should look at your journey here, is you're stacking capabilities that are going to make it increasingly likely that you reach the end of your treasure map. So AI can really help you create your bigger future, but you have to know where you're going to go before you start. And if you're afraid, you're not listening. There's incredible opportunity. AI is freeing us up to be more human and more magic. So if I had one last thing to say, it's if in doubt, begin. All right?
Hey. All right.
So
I don't know, are you hanging out for lunch?
yeah, and then I actually have stuff about our product, and that could be later, but I just thought this was a good way to talk about this for lunch.
So we're thinking about, Howard and I have been going back and forth. I won't share too much, and all the ways that we can kind of just dick around, have conversations, and let you guys watch, over the shoulder. So is that interesting?
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll continue this conversation. We'll bring Howard into the Guardian Academy, and we'll do all that. But we're going to have Jason Campbell lead us with some breathing, and then we're going to go to lunch. We're going to have a short lunch, probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just going to go downstairs. Jason, you're going to be, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Won't be as warm, but this will warm you right here, what Jason's going to do.
We're going to let the food cool down, so.
Right. As we heat up. Okay, Howard, that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
I missed all the notes in the beginning, but so many things you said, like tying beautifully to what we're going to do here. About what is consistent. We have all this technology, we have all this stuff that they're doing, but what's the same? Well, last I checked, you and the human condition. And it's we have 50 to 80,000 thoughts a day, 99% of the same thoughts you had yesterday. It's kind of like, okay, this is your head, and this is your head on thoughts, but this is when the crypto market crashes, and this is when you're behind in AI, and this is when you're trying to run a business, and this is when there's a fucking zombie apocalypse going on right now. And okay, so this gets very, very turbid, and we have all these thoughts, but most of them are useless. And so there's a discipline and there's a mastery of how do you drop your thoughts. Okay, if I was an evil Taoist master and I wanted to keep everybody turbid and everybody crazy, I'd get everybody practicing mindfulness. and thinking that you need to work on being more mindful. That's what I'd tell you. You know what? Work on being more mindful. And I'd go like this, and you do that. That's like the opposite of the truth. The word mindfulness was a mistranslation 100 years ago of the word sati from Sanskrit. The better word is awareness. Because who here wants to fill your mind with more stuff? Anyone? Like, okay, you'll be happier, just put some more stuff in your head. It's the opposite. You actually want to empty your head. But when we say mindless, we tend to think of being stupid, so that's not a great word. So we can just think, the better word is presence, or emptiness of this, or just clear. We can also say that, because then we go to here, and then that's clear, not having the thoughts. Okay, so how do you get there? Well, there's a lot of ways to get there. There's an infinite amount of ways to get there. We get there with the sword. Who here is on? Most of you are on Master's Path. Raise your hand if you're on.
Tomorrow?
Yes, we're doing swords tomorrow. Who's on Master's Path? Most of you in this room, right? Who's showing up tomorrow for some sword?
You guys are all invited tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right here. Are we doing it here?
Yeah, we're doing it right here. Yeah, so show up. So we'll do this. And the idea of the sword is you use the sword to polish the soul. And it's not about actually cutting flesh and killing people. Let's see if we can avoid. We're better off if you find yourself, cutting heads off. It means your first plan didn't work. Okay, you're like deep into your backup plan. However, you use the sword to polish the soul, and this is just about mind and mind intent and getting a very, very clear mind. So this is a very old technology. And what we're talking about is the old, like what doesn't change? Well, the mental clarity doesn't change. Also regulating your emotions, because our emotions go up and down, and there's so much like emotional problems. If you go back, 100 years, a lot of the, let's say, disease and a lot of the problems were food related and physical related. How much depression was there 100 years ago? Not as much. It was a different time because it was all about survival. But when you get to a point where you can survive, and in this country you have a roof over your head and you have food, whether it's good food, bad food, whatever, you have food. Not too many people in this country starve. Well, now we have the luxury of being depressed and walking around saying, oh, I'm so sad. I mean, it's a very real thing, an emotion of being emotional off balance, but there's an emotional mastery. And part of the sword training, that's what we do in the Master's Path, is all emotional mastery. And it's what we're going to do right now. We're going to do it with breath work. And see, who here, raise your hand if you feel pulled off center, like throughout the day. Things are pulling you off center. Well, of course they are. But here's the little trick though. Being pulled off center is actually your best friend. How could it be your best friend? Because if you were never pulled off center, the center wouldn't exist. So the only way you can be a centered person is to be pulled off center. Oh, I'm getting pulled this way, this way, this way, this way. So the next time you feel pulled off center, which could be in the next 30 minutes for some of you, and you get a text or a phone call, something like, oh, actually, wait a minute. What a great opportunity I have to be centered. So it's kind of like a flip. And so we're going to do, we'll do 5 minutes of breathing. And one other thing on that, what we do it's kind of like being pulled off center is your best friend. Another way of looking at it is we have germs, disease, and everything coming in and trying to attack you, basically, right? We know what's the number one cause of death in this country is what? Disease. Heart disease. Yeah, living, right. Impermanence, we could say. Okay, well, because we all are terminally ill. It's called impermanence. Even the sun will die. So, but aside from that, it's heart attack, heart disease. Second one is cancer. And third is what? Pfizer, pharmaceuticals. Yeah, it's the pharmaceuticals is the third. So if you look at, even a little simple thing, here's what we're going to do. We're going to help your heart. Because if you actually look at the mechanics of a heart, the heart has a very hard job. Like if I was God, I'd design the heart differently, but God didn't ask me. So we have to deal with what we have here. And it's a little tiny, tiny heart that has to pump all this blood and everything everywhere. That's why, who lives the longest? Small women. You get the 4'10" woman, they don't die. It's really true. Me, I got a bigger problem. I'm 6'2". It's harder for me because the heart has to do all this work and has to pump. So we want to help the heart. And one we do it through lower abdominal breathings. The other one we do it, believe it or not, just through pumping the calves and pumping, and that starts to circulate. But okay, last thing before we do the breathing. So we say germs, disease, and everything is trying to attack us. Okay. Well, from one viewpoint, we can say you're the enemy, Mr. Germ, Mr. Disease, and COVID, and all this. You're bad, and I'm good. and we're going to have a war on you. Let's have a war on cancer. Let's have a war. Okay, one viewpoint. Another viewpoint is we say, okay, all these things trying to attack me. From universal viewpoint, you exist, I exist, we both have a right to exist. Exist is just Latin, it just means to stand out. To stand out from what? Nothing. So if we both have a right to exist, and you're attacking me, well, that forces me to have an immune system. If I didn't have an immune system, I couldn't exist. So one funny viewpoint, you actually make me exist. So you're actually my best friend. So let's peacefully coexist. So let's not have a war, let's peacefully coexist. Oh, you can't come inside here, you can't set up shop, you don't let all of your friends jump into your bed. So no, you have to stay there and I stay here, but we hope, and then you build up your strong immune system. Back to the breath work and other movements, which is what we're going to do now. So a little judo flip, being thrown off center, and things trying to attack you. No. And it comes back to being here, be here right now. So the question I love to ask is raise your hand if you are opposed to investing 5 minutes into yourself. Anyone? See, it's such a trick question. It's so hard to raise your hand. I totally got that from Chris. And so here's what we're going to do. You're going to take 5 minutes. I'll guide you through it. And your mastery right now is all you're going to do is take your awareness and put it right in your center. And what's going to happen between now and the next, 300 seconds, is your awareness is going to run over here, it's going to run over there. You won't hold it for 5 minutes. We know that, and that's okay. So the mastery is once you catch yourself out here, just bring it back in. Then it runs away, then bring it back in, runs away, bring it back in. Make sense? We all committed? Okay. And then if you're listening online, you're just going to have to follow along because the music won't really go through online. So just listen. So here we go. This is 5 minutes. Okay. So eyes closed. Very simple. Take your tongue, touch the roof of your mouth. Breathe in through your nose. Drop your tongue, breathe out through your mouth. 2 bells. Inhale. Release, 2 bells. Keep breathing out. In. Exhale. In. Release. In. Now we're going to go out 3 bells. Exhale. Keep breathing out. Inhale. Release. In. Exhale. Keep breathing out. In. Exhale. Now, don't breathe in yet. Hold the out breath, 2 bells. Don't breathe in. Now breathe in. Exhale 3. Keep breathing out. Hold 3 bells. Don't breathe in. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, now hold. We're gonna go 5 bells. Don't breathe in. If it's a little uncomfortable, that's okay. Just keep your mind right in your center. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Okay, hold. We're doing 8 bells. Let your shoulders drop. Wiggle your toes. Almost there. One more bell. Inhale. Exhale, 3. This is the last one. Now make your lower abdomen tight. 3 short breaths out through your mouth. Don't breathe in yet. Again. One more breath. Hold. Almost there. 2 more bells. Inhale, big breath in. Best breath of the day so far. Exhale completely. Keep breathing out. Okay, open your eyes. That was 5 minutes. How'd we do? How'd you feel? Did anyone die? Anyone feel like you're gonna die? No? Okay, if you do feel like you're gonna die, that's okay. We usually only lose 1 or 2 at these. Okay, lunchtime?
Lunchtime.
Okay, good job. Okay, awesome.
30 minutes, so stuff your faces.
Yeah.
It's good, Howard. Good.